Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 250th episode of Criterion Connection. I'm Wade,
And I'm Joe.
and we're here 250 episodes in, and we're doing Akira Kurosawa's Ran. And Iran So Far Away. No, from 1985, aka Color the Movie. Um, it's his sprawling epic. It's based on the Shakespeare King Lear.
A bit, yeah.
Yeah, and basically tells the story of this elder lord. He has three sons: Taro, Jiro, and Saburo. And he's like, I'm tired. So Taro, you're now in charge of all the land of the whole clan, and it doesn't really work out so well.
Well, kinda. He's like, you can have, my sons can have the castles.
Yeah, the first castle.
And like technically, Taro, who's not my eldest, will run things.
He's like the middle.
Yeah, and but like I'm still gonna be in charge.
Yeah,
and I'm not gonna change anything. I'm still gonna have my concubines. I'm still gonna be chilling and
still gonna have
making all the
and
decisions.
you're still gonna have that one woman that's just gonna be making faces and stuff like that.
So it's very much about kind of greed and an unwillingness to change and accept mistakes. It's
Pride.
It's a very, very lengthy and sprawling, I guess, epic in a way.
It's for people who have never seen it. It is about 160 minutes, which is like a little over 2.5 hours.
2.5 hours.
It doesn't feel like 2.5 hours. It feels like 2 hours probably, but not. It doesn't feel.
It felt pretty lengthy for me.
You get like the first scene, like when we're talking about the scene we just talked about, how like, I'm handing this to Taro and stuff like that. That's like 20 minutes. The first 20 minutes of the film.
It's at least all of that.
Yeah, and then you get into the betrayal, pretty much.
Well, I think the issue is more of like you're watching it and then like all of this time passes and you're like, this movie's still going.
Yeah.
It's still going. But yeah, so he hands off his land and his castles to his sons, and he essentially doesn't really give over the reins, and he's trying to hold on to it even though he thinks he's being magnanimous about it.
Yeah,
and then of course the one son's wife kind of gets in his ear
because the wife has issues.
Yeah.
The sins of the father, kind of like bite him in the ass a little bit, and she's like, "No, you should just have it all or whatever." And Taro's like, "Yeah, I should."
Yeah.
And by the way, the youngest Saburo is banished. He's like, "I'm not for." He's the youngest.
Is he the eldest?
I think he's one the youngest. I think he's the youngest.
Because he's the one that doesn't get the land, even though he thinks he should. Like he should get the title.
I think you're right. Sorry.
And he speaks up, and so
he gets banished.
His father essentially says, "You're no longer my son," and he banishes him. And then he goes and like meets a different lord, and then like hangs out with him and gets married to his daughter and gets his own stuff. And then he shows back up later. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I forget if they're younger or older, but like
it's very Macbeth as well.
There's one son that just like, nah, I don't like this idea, and he bounces, he's banished, and he later comes in to, let's just say, he helps the father because no one else will help him.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was gonna be more of the story of the sons, but it's very the story of the eldest, the Lord.
Yeah, the father.
Because boy,
it's a fall from grace, all
right. Can we talk about the whole movie? Was like, okay, this looks really good. The colors, I like this. But when we get to the scene where he gets turned down by Taro, gets turned down by Jiro, and he ends up in the abandoned castle, and then Jiro and Taro's forces show up.
Yeah.
And you get the first real major battle scene, and you're like, I was not expecting it to be as violent as it was.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a guy with a severed arm just holding his arm, like and there's bodies like just sprawled all over the ground. I'm like, Jesus.
the way Kurosawa shoots the movie is incredible. Using those colors and having them kind of create like moving like paintings, even like with the different colored armies and the flags and like how they move. It's incredible. And some of the greatest shots are from that battle where the father is sitting up in the tower.
He's like kneeling or crisscross
and,
applesauce,
and
there's
you
arrows
got,
coming.
You got the
yeah,
flaming
it's
arrows.
In my notes.
It's so good. It's one of the,
and it's got this like defeated look. Like he's like he lost everything in that moment.
For me, that's one of the best like sequences of all time, like in film. Like,
yeah,
that's what this movie has.
And everything's burning, and then he finally exits, and he's just zonked out. And you have one side has like the red banners, the other one has the yellow banners, and they all separate while he's walking past. It's like
incredible.
It's so good looking. It's such a. Meanwhile, I think what was his name? I forgot. Tango, who was the other guy banished. Yeah. He's like riding the horse while it's happening. He doesn't make it.
He's the loyal like assistant to the father.
Yeah. He doesn't make it to save the day. He ain't like Gandalf at Helm's Deep.
He eventually reaches Saburo.
Yeah.
And tells him what's going on, and then Saburo like goes on a hunt for him, right? But to me, like, it's the story's fine, and the dialogue's fine. It's a very winding tale. And it's a very tragic tale, very Shakespearean tragedy. But for me, the things I gravitate to are 100% like the locales, the shots, the edits. They're incredible.
Yeah.
They're like
set dressing.
It is very like nearly peak Kurosawa.
It feels like you're there. Like you're in that time period.
It's really wild to see, and
it's probably one of his best shot films. And keep in mind, it's Kurosawa, so most of his stuff is great shots. But
there's a few others I could say that rival it, but this one for sure is like a technical masterpiece.
Yeah, it's just color. Do you like color? It's like if you like color and film, if you like Technicolor, you're gonna love this film.
If you want to think about it, but like. I see a lot of Wes Anderson with the color coordination and the way shots are set up. It's got a lot of that in it. It's just like Kurosawa's doing these very saturated, very prominent colors and really like driving home those color, that symbolism and that like. Because you're like, how do I keep track of like 700 dudes in a shot?
It's like,
and he's like, well, I'm gonna put 300 as red and black, and then the other 300 as like yellow and black, and then you're gonna have your few other guys who have very distinct looks.
Yeah, like the movie is both looks beautiful and it's also brutal, if you will. Mm-hmm. You can comment below about how you love that new term. And our producer Sky's flipping me off behind the camera. Yeah, I mean, Ron is pretty cool.
I think anybody who is really fascinated by kind of the visuals and like is down for one of those Shakespearean kind of tales, like this is like a perfect movie for him.
Would you recommend this film to the general audience? That's a good way to. It's a good transition there.
Man, it's gonna get me in hot water. I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say stick with a different Kurosawa, and then work your way to this one.
What would be a Kurosawa to start with? A good suggestion, I guess.
To start with.
I would say Hidden Fortress, probably.
I can't speak on it because I haven't seen it.
That's right. Scott saw it.
Yeah, I'm thinking Yojimbo.
Yojimbo, that's a good one.
7 Samurai has that length, but I do absolutely love Seven
Seven
Samurai.
Samurai is better than Ron. I'll say that.
Yeah,
It's-
I would go with one of those. And if you don't, and
this film also doesn't have Mifune in it.
yeah, and those also are more like kind of historic based ones. Whereas you can always do like a high and low or the bad sleep well or whatever.
Oh, Rashomon.
I wouldn't start with Rashomon,
Okay.
but it's a good one.
I think Rashomon might be my
If you're
favorite
doing
Kurosawa
chronological
one,
stuff, maybe.
yeah. But
Throne of Blood's also really good.
we haven't done that one yet. I don't
Not
think.
yet.
That's also that's like Macbeth.
It's
I think.
Macbeth. It's incredible, and that one has a great, more arrow shots that are incredible.
Okay. I would recommend Ron. If you're a big fan of like samurai films, if you're a big fan of westerns, if you're a big fan of war movies or something like that, or period pieces, I think you would like Ron.
Mm-hmm.
If you're like, I love Transformers, Rise of the Beasts or whatever, you're probably not gonna like this film.
Yeah.
You know, if you're a Wes Anderson fan, I probably wouldn't recommend it either. You mentioned Wes Anderson, I wouldn't. But like,
Yeah.
I think if you like those kinds of movies, you would love Ron. But I feel like the general audience, it may be too much.
Yeah, I think it's just, it's a lot, but like visually, it's an incredible. I mean, I'll say masterpiece.
Yeah.
It's one of those. But I think this is like an intermediate Kurosawa. Like you want to work your way to this, start dipping your toes in with a couple other ones.
Yeah.
You know, there's plenty to choose from, and there's not like a bad one in the bunch. And like, don't take it that way. It's just like, I couldn't sit there and walk up to somebody and say,
You
sit
should
down.
watch this for 2.5 hours. Watch this movie.
Yeah, watch this, historical epic for, 2.5 hours with some very unlikable characters in it.
Yeah.
Because everybody kind of, like, Saburo is probably the closest thing to a likable person.
Yeah.
Because the father isn't for a lot of the period, and he's, like, dazed and confused most of the time anyway.
Tongo?
The fool is the most annoying character.
The fool is very, the character in Bride of Frankenstein that's always screaming? That lady?
Yeah.
That's her.
And then you've got, like, the whole Game of Thronesian stuff going on with Taro and Jiro.
The bros.
And the woman. It's very Game of Thrones. If you like Game of Thrones, I would watch it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I can see it.
But I think
there's no incest in this, though.
Yeah, for me, like a Yojimbo, a Seven Samurai, like those hit me so hard. I'm like, this bridges all gaps, because Kurosawa always has a very kind of Western take for his films. Like he can really bridge that gap.
Which is funny because the West take a lot from Kurosawa.
100%.
It's just like, it's like a nice little trade-off.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's our thoughts on. I almost forgot the movie we did. Ron. I was about to say Hidden Fortress. That's our thoughts on Ron. Let us know in the comment section below what you think about Ron. What's your favorite Kurosawa? There's still a lot of Kurosawas we haven't done, Throne of Blood and stuff like that. Let us know in the comment section below what's the next one we should do. Thank you all for tuning in for 250 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of. I can't believe we watched 250 Criterion movies. Now there's
only 750 more to go, right?
They keep adding more. Oh my god! I guess they added the July ones that are coming out in July. Wow. Thank you so much. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Definitely share. So for the next 250 episodes, we have more audience, more suggestions, more fun.
Trying to get in that closet, dude.
Yeah. Come on. Send us to the Criterion closet. Both of us all cramped in there, like, I love David Lynch or something like that. And then they kick us out because we didn't fully recommend Ron to the general audience. But yeah, that's our thoughts. Thank you, everyone. Follow us on all the social media. And we'll see you for the next 250 episodes. Until next time, I'm Wade.
And I'm still Joe.
And we'll see you there.